Crank up the volume and get ready for real-world bird hunting by listening to the Wingmen podcast by Eastmans. Now your host, Todd Helms.
This episode of the Wingmen podcast is brought to you by Leupold Optics. You know, guys, obviously there's a handful of things that I rely upon heavily for Wingmen. One being performance eyewear, and Leupold has crushed that category. I thought I knew what good eyewear was, what good sunglasses were. Man, I was wrong. Performance eyewear from Leupold has taken that to the next level for me. Another thing is binoculars. I have to have high-quality binoculars for scouting, for finding birds, and Leupolds bring me all of the qualities that I need in a pair of binoculars. They also make killer everything, as you guys know. So check out Leupold, and thank you for listening to today's podcast. Hey, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Wingman podcast, and back on today is my wingman, Josh Lancaster from Red Flats Retrievers. We're going to do a little bit of a snow goose recap from the hunt that I just finished up about 2 weeks ago now, and talk about that hunt a little bit. And Josh has a litter of puppies on the ground, and we're going to talk about puppies. We're going to talk about whelping. We're going to talk about get back into some of picking a puppy. I know you're really excited about one of that litter in particular. You were telling me a little bit about it before we started. And just talk about that. Talk about upcoming turkey plans, what your plans are, what my plans are, and we're going to rock and roll. So welcome to this episode. I hope you enjoy it. And again, dude, thanks for being on.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me again, Todd.
Yeah,
man.
My pleasure. We don't get to see each other as much as we'd like. Once it seems like during hunting season we're together a lot, and then after hunting season, life gets back to more, I guess, normal. You could call it.
Yep.
You're busy, I'm busy, and I'm raising kids. You're raising dogs, and it's just wild.
Yes, it's very wild, and it's just seasons of the year.
Absolutely.
You know, we all got different things, and like we said earlier, you said earlier, I got puppies on the ground. Yep. So that's my main thing right now is looking at puppies and trying to get them sold.
Well, I appreciate it. You came in kind of on a moment's notice to sit down and do this one, but I was man. I haven't seen Josh in a while. Let's get out and record a conversation.
No, sounds good, man.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Well, snow geese. We'll hit a little snow geese recap. Have you hunted snow geese?
I have.
Where'd you do it?
Arkansas.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Laying in the mud.
Yes, sir. It was awesome. That was 2019.
Okay.
I went. Actually, a guy bailed out on a hunting trip, and I got to go in his spot. Got awesome time, and just great time with friends that went also. And we killed. Wasn't the best. We hit it right at the split from being able to shoot darks, and just got to shoot whites.
Yep.
It was awesome, though, just to experience it, and I'd love to do it again one day.
Yeah, it's snow geese hunting in the lower 48 in that central flyway. Man, it's so hit or miss.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is so we missed the darks, but then we missed specks also. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't hunt speckle bellies. And the first group, I'll never forget it. We're sitting there. I don't know the difference between a speckle belly and a snow goose. I've never hunted them. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, we got a flock of about 1,000. And the guide goes, no, nobody shoot. And I'm like, why? And he goes, I go, why? And he goes, those are speckle belly. They went out of season 2 days ago. I'm like,
you're with the right outfitter when you got a guy saying that.
Exactly.
Yep. And because they do mix in.
Yep.
I was in southeastern Nebraska
on
our hunt with Platte Basin Outdoors.
Yep.
We went last year I think it would have been right about now we went. Okay. And we caught the tail end of the juvies. We got a little bit of a reverse migration. Okay. That video is out on the YouTube channel. It's doing pretty well, actually. It's there for you guys to check out, so please go do that. It was a fun hunt. It wasn't the high volume stuff that you see. I think, as with a lot of things in life, I think social media has skewed our perceptions.
Oh, man.
About hunting and life in general. Mm-hmm. Because you've got to remember, man, even the stuff that we post on the Wingmen stuff, it's snippets.
Yeah.
It's the best of the best. Yeah. And there's a lot of time in between that was either really crappy or it just was ho-hum.
Yeah.
So you're just seeing the best of the best. Well, when all you're getting on Instagram and Facebook is highlight reels. all the time.
Yeah.
It's really easy to feel like, we only killed 40. It was a bad day.
Yeah.
No, 40 is just fine. It's actually a pretty decent day.
Yep.
Last year's hunt was, it was good. It was fun. The Platte Basin Outdoors crew is awesome. They're a ton of fun to be with. Great guys. So this year, what we decided we'd do is we go earlier.
Okay.
For like the first week, basically. Well, it was a pretty hard winter across the middle portion of the U.S. and the pond. We wanted to chase some feeds, but the leading edge of the migration wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
They were coming, and they were like, "Dude, you guys are going to hit it perfect." Well, they had to open up a pond with ice eaters, and it was a couple days before we got there. It was like 30 below wind chill.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like, dude, is this even going to happen? Well, we got there. The first day we killed 20-some birds.
Yeah.
And the leading edge of that migration is all adults.
Yeah.
And these are birds they're mature snow geese. They may be 20, 25 years old, in some cases older.
Yeah.
But the point is they all have multiple seasons under their belts, and they've seen thousands of spreads. Yeah. They are hard to decoy. You might get, and what we were doing is instead of shooting great big spins, we were taking what we were given. So if we had, blue geese tend to be, and I didn't realize this until the last couple of years, blues and Rossies tend to be pretty naive. And those are the ones that, in that leading edge, can make up quite a bit of your harvest. And so the first day, I think we killed 20 or 25 birds. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was okay, but small groups. You know, we didn't have any big spins that you see with massive 50, 60 bird rainouts. We didn't have any of that. And then the next day was a super high wind day, north wind. We didn't see a lot of birds. They were holed up south of us. And then the last day was even slower. They just weren't really doing it. We had one big group. It was probably 150, 200,000 birds come, and they short stopped us on a feed.
Oh. And
they would get up and they would what they call fluff about every 15 to 30 minutes. And what that did is it's an adaptation, survival mechanism. What it does is they get up and they spin like a bunch of starlings. You see starlings flocked up, and it'd be all those birds would jump up and they'd spin around for a few minutes and then land back down again. And then until they did it again, there'd be more geese going to them from every direction. Pretty soon, 100,000 birds turns into 150,000 birds or 200,000 birds. And that's how you get those giant groups, and then they all migrate together en masse. And they're just when they're adults like that, they're really, really tough. Yeah. You know, we got to the last day, and it was later in the afternoon, and we only had a couple of birds. And we had a pretty good sized spin, but they were high. And they just kept going and going and going. And you could just tell they probably weren't going to do it. And there was one point where there was like 20 birds right behind us, and they're like 30 yards. And the outfitter's like, "What do you want to do, Todd?" And I was like, "Let them go." I was like, they'll either land and we'll suck more in, or they won't. And I mean, at that point, for making a video, if it was just a buddy hunt, we just shot them. Yeah. But for trying to make a video out of it, I wanted at least one good spin where we just shellacked them, right? Yeah. And it was kind of like, we get 20 birds in, we kill 6, 7, 8 birds out of that. It's not really going to add much into the grand scheme. So I put all the chips in, and it didn't work. At that point, I was just like, let's go big or go home type deal, and we went home. Yeah. And so it was fun. Those guys are awesome. We had the Weatherby guys there. Tyler Grethen came down, and he hunted with us, and we had Dan Compton from Federal. Awesome. Came down. 2 just awesome guys. Good. Just awesome guys. I just released a podcast with Tyler that we actually did it in the blind.
Oh, that's cool.
Never done it before.
That's awesome.
And so we figured it out, and we made it work, and I think it turned out really, really cool. So
sweet.
That's up. You guys can find that podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. And then Dan had to go right into Pheasant Fest, and so I'm slating a podcast with Dan Compton to talk about all Federal's new stuff that they've got coming out. We shot the Federal Premium new Ultra Steel loads, which is their stack load. and it was pretty effective.
Was it?
Yeah, it worked really, really well.
How did the Sorex hold up? Did y'all have tubes?
Phenomenal. I put so I had, from back in the days when I had my own personal Benelli, I had a 10-shot carbon fiber extension, a Nordic extension, and then I procured 4 6-shot, 8-shot extensions from SureCycle for the Sorexes. Okay. We had very few issues.
Good.
You know, it was anytime you slap an extension on a shotgun, you're probably going to have a hiccup or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into once each day I had a feed issue, but it was very easily corrected. It was just a yank on the bolt a little bit, and it was right back in the action.
Gotcha.
But I would say 98% of the runs where we light into a group and torch off 5, 6, 7 rounds. Mm-hmm. I did empty the tube multiple times just to see if it would, just cause, snow goose on.
Hey, you got to dump it once in a while.
And it's fun to just torch off that many. But,
oh man!
And every time that I wanted to, it would, it was never an issue. So
gotcha.
Very, very happy with the Sorex.
Awesome.
Got to play with Weatherby's new Element 2.
Okay. Yep.
Very impressive shotgun.
Awesome.
Very impressive shotgun. Night and day different than the Sorex. The Sorex has the stepped rib and more of that semi-humpback look to it and feel to it, where the Element has a flat rib.
Okay.
And it's more the rounded style receiver. It has more of a deep dish grip to it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I shouldered it a few times, and I was like, yeah, that's a nice shotgun.
Awesome.
So really excited for that. But, yeah, the new Federal Ultra Steel, I'm definitely going to be trying to shoot those next waterfowl season here.
Gotcha.
And very happy with it.
What's the different shot size?
So we were shooting BBs and 2s.
Okay. Yep.
It's a stack of BBs and 2s. And with 2s up front, BBs in the back, if I remember correctly. And I didn't pattern anything, but just shooting them on birds. Yeah, I mean,
pretty devastating.
Yeah, it worked really well.
Yeah,
really uniform patterns. It seemed that way. Like I said, I didn't pattern the guns, but just when you're shooting at birds, you can kind of tell. Mm-hmm. And birds are coming down dead. It was like, okay, this is pretty good. Yeah. I did shoot it side by side with Black Cloud, and in my opinion, I don't think at extended distances, say past 40 yards, maybe 50, 60 yards, which a lot of your spring snow goose hunting is those longer shots. The Black Cloud definitely had a little bit of an edge because of those flight stopper pellets.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Those flight stopper pellets are just wicked. Mm-hmm. Just wicked. But the Ultra Steel comes in at a little bit lesser price point. Mm-hmm. And for guys wanting to shoot a stacked load, a stacked shell, I mean, and it for dark geese and ducks where if it's not in the decoys, I'm probably not going to shoot at it.
Yeah. Dude,
it's devastating. It's devastating.
Oh, yeah.
Any of the birds that we shot that I would say normal decoy distances, and of course, remember, snow geese your spread might cover 200 yards.
Oh, yeah.
So you get birds that are, they spin over and they're 40 yards up and they're right over your head, and that's your shot.
Yeah.
And, we were trying to let birds finish, but it was pretty obvious after day one that we needed to take the opportunities that we were given. Yeah. And I was very impressed. And I was shooting just the standard chokes that come in the Sorex, modified choke.
Yeah.
It seemed to work really, really well.
Awesome.
Enough so that I would say I would love to shoot it on honkers. Because when we're shooting geese here in fields, especially dry land sets, we're letting them finish. And we're shooting birds nice and tight.
Yep.
And oh my goodness, it would just devastate them. Just devastate them.
Awesome.
But yeah, man, it was a good time. Whoa, lost my mic. There we go. Bear with me. There we go. I can't touch it; it'll fall. Anyway, typical snow goose stuff, though. We definitely talked about I think the general consensus is if you want to consistently get on really, really good snow goose shoots, you need to go to Canada. Like consistently, like you're in them every day type deal.
Yeah.
Because it seems like in the Midwest, they migrate so much and they're just touchy.
Yeah.
And so for every 100, 200, 300 bird day you have, you're going to have 5 more that are 20 birds.
Yeah.
15 birds, 30 birds, which it's just tougher. Where when those birds get into Canada, they stop right below the boreal forest, and then they put the feed bag on for about a week to 2 weeks. And then when they leave, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. And we just talked about it, and Platte Basin Outdoors offers Canada hunts.
Oh.
And so we may end up going up there.
There you go.
In May. We'll see. I don't know. It's definitely on the books. It's something
Gotcha.
that I'm interested in doing. The very first snow goose hunt we did was Swift River in up there in Canada, and it's called the Wavies. And holy smokes, man, those guys crushed them.
Did they?
They really got into them. And I did not go on that hunt.
Gotcha.
That was before I was doing Wingmen full time. And so Dan Picard went up with a group of guys that were going anyway, some friends of his, and he filmed it. And it's a really cool video. Again,
Awesome.
one of the first YouTube videos we ever did for Wingmen. It's still, in my opinion, one of the best we've ever done.
Gotcha.
And so you can see that, just the differences.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a knock on, my opinion, it's not a knock on any of the outfitters out there chasing snow geese in the Central Flyway in the U.S. It's just the nature of what that is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it goes back to anything. If you're wanting to kill the biggest whitetail in the world, I hate to say it, go to Canada. I mean, body size and horns. I mean, it's just different. There's different avenues for everything. I mean, it's duck hunting. If you think of duck hunting, where's the biggest place that you think of for duck hunting? Arkansas, in my opinion.
Sure.
If you,
that's because you're from there.
No, I'm not. I am not from. Hey, now.
Hey, you get down there.
All right,
I mean, it's all kind of lumped together.
All right, Mr. Pollock. No, but if you think of timber hunting, mallards, you think
it's
Arkansas.
Iconic.
Exactly.
Yeah, Arkansas flooded timber is iconic.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of folks, I used to ask the question, if you could only hunt one bird one way, what would it be? And so many guys would be like, mallards in the timber, mallards in the timber.
Yeah.
And I've never done it. We've hunted some flooded stuff in the, growing up, we hunted a lot of beaver floodings, but it's not the same.
No,
it's not.
I mean, those big cypresses and oaks, and and so being from South Carolina, that was our wood duck spots. Mm-hmm. We didn't have any big mallard in the flooded timber.
Right.
But it's all on what you're wanting. One thing that goes through my mind that I want this coming season is I want to get going on some field hunts for ducks this year coming.
It was hard this year.
It was.
I had a buddy from Michigan call me the other day and asked, "Did you hunt with Noah? Did you hunt?"
Yeah.
And I didn't. Noah and I didn't hunt together this year from Mountain View Mallards. We kind of tried a couple times, and I found a pretty good mallard feed. Yeah. And it just didn't work.
Yeah.
So much of the reason why we don't do more of that here is the stars have to align for that to be good. You have to have weather, but not too much weather.
Yeah.
You have to have, and the reason I say you have to have weather is the bulk of our mallards that we get here do feed in fields.
Oh, yeah.
But they're doing it at night.
Yep.
They're totally nocturnal. And so we're shooting them on the rivers when they're coming back to loaf, coming back. We don't hunt roosts, but we hunt a lot of traffic areas and loafing type areas. And invariably, how many times have we been sitting on the river and you shoot a couple birds at daylight and then it slows right down.
Oh, yeah.
And then about 9 o'clock, all of a sudden there's birds dropping in out of the stratosphere and their feet are muddy and they got corn in their throats.
Yep.
Because they've been feeding in a field.
Yeah.
And they've been there all night long. And they're just now coming back to water.
Yeah.
And so to go hunt them in an evening, if you can even get any shooting before legal light's over, it's going to be 15, 20 minutes max.
Yep.
And so
that's where you need that pressure of the weather.
You got to have that weather.
Yeah.
Some snow in the mix pushes them around. So it's not as easy. It's like the snow goose thing.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, the stars have to align and the conditions have to be right for it to really work.
Exactly.
I'm with you. I was really, really working hard at the end of goose season after our duck closed to find goose feeds. Well, when did we get all of our weather? Right at the end of duck season.
Yeah.
And it was actually after duck season closed that we got below zero temperatures and we got too much snow.
Yes.
And what happened was I found a really good goose. A lot of our geese migrated out.
Yep.
But we still had several thousand geese in the area.
Yeah.
And I found a smoker of a feed, but I couldn't get permission.
Yep.
And that's just kind of the way that goes. So we ended the dark goose season here not even hunting.
Correct.
There was one field where all the birds were jammed into one spot, and they were wallowing out the snow in a perfect semicircle.
Yep.
And it was like, it just didn't work.
No.
But so that left me at the end of the season wanting more field hunts. I'm in the same boat you're in with that, where it's like, man, we didn't really have any field hunts. We shot some geese. I don't think I maybe hunted, like dedicated hunted geese a handful of times this year.
0 for me.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just part of this season.
We shot ducks. We shot geese while we were duck hunting.
Yes.
But it was just, the conditions just didn't allow for it.
No. And
granted, we could have gone out and done a maybe.
Yeah.
You know, where it was like, there was one spot in particular that it was like, there were always geese around, but about the time there'd be 300 geese out there, more than enough to go hunt, the next day they wouldn't.
Yeah, they'd be in a different spot.
They'd be hit and miss. And it's kind of like, yeah, we could go run traffic on them, but your schedule's busy, my schedule's busy, everybody else that we hunt with schedule's busy, so I'm trying to line all this up. And my days of going out and setting a spread by myself to shoot 5 geese
are over. Yeah. No, and they are for me as well.
I mean, if I'd have been in my 20s this winter, I would have shot a lot more geese because I'd have been mad at them, in quotes, right? But for me anymore, it's about quality over quantity.
Oh yeah.
I'd rather go out and hunt geese 2 or 3 times and just crush them versus go out and work our butts off in below 0 temps to shoot 2 geese.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like our last weekend of ducks. Me and you had it planned. We were going to go this year.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, no. One, it was too cold. Way too cold to put a dog in the water. Yeah. Both of us agreed on that. And we're like, no, this is not worth it at all.
Right.
I mean, could we have done another hunt there? Yeah. But we're not that mad at them anymore.
Right. I took the family out one day specifically onto a goose spot.
Yeah.
That there was lots of birds around, but they just didn't. The weather was warm, and they just really didn't do much.
Yeah,
and so it was interesting. It was really interesting. But that's kind of the snow goose recap in a nutshell. It was a lot of fun. We shored up some great relationships with our partners at Weatherby and Federal. Had a ton of fun with those guys.
Awesome,
great people, and unashamed plug. If you're looking for a new shotgun, man, give the Weatherby stuff a look. I know you bought a Sorex.
I sure did. Hadn't even shot it yet.
You shot one of mine, and you were like, I'm buying one.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, I am a shotgun nut. I mean, I have more shotguns than I do any other gun. But that Sorex this past year, the first time I ever saw it, I was like, I don't know. I mean, just in first vision, I held it, and I was like, okay, And then when I got to shoot one of yours, it was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it points so well.
They point well. They're light. They're quick.
Yep.
And the nice thing is, Weatherby knows that different people have different tastes.
Oh, yeah.
So that new Element 2 is very different than the Sorex.
Now, where is that price point wise?
It's less than the Sorex.
It's less than the Sorex. Gotcha.
It's still a high quality gun.
Correct.
It just comes in at a little bit softer price point.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the same with Federal. Like I said, I've said it forever. I've been shooting Federal ammo since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I love it. Always loved it. And it's just a blessing to get to work with those guys. And I'm a firm believer in their shot shells.
Yeah.
So, anyway, let's talk about puppies, man. You got a litter on the ground. You've been posting up stuff. I've been sharing it on the Wingmen channels here and there. And they're getting bigger. They're not big enough for my kids to come over and play with yet. But they're
not yet. They're getting close. So yeah, we had a litter. So yesterday they were 3 weeks old. So I went to Oregon and bred to a phenomenal dog named Blue. That is a true British Lab. And from Deeks Waterfowl is Travis over there in Oregon.
Okay.
And what a blessing it was. No different than it is for me and you, of just getting together, like-minded. We love dogs. We love duck hunting. Same thing with Travis. And his dog, he's got multiple dogs, but Blue for his color and his pedigree and what that dog has already achieved.
And this whole litter is fox red.
Yes.
So I'm going to short stop you there.
Oh boy, here we go.
No, what I want to know, because people are going to listen to this and be like, fox red, man, I don't know what that is. Is that like a chocolate, or what is a fox red Labrador?
A fox red Labrador is a dark yellow.
Right.
That is all it is.
It's just a different. It's like a different color phase, basically.
Correct. With AKC,
lab.
American Kennel Club, so their 3 qualifications of color is black, yellow, and chocolate.
Right.
And so those 3, so all these puppies will be registered as yellows. And it's just a darker yellow color.
Right.
Because Jasper is a white yellow.
He's yellow.
Like,
he's very, very almost like straw colored.
Correct. And I mean, so it's just a different color of yellow.
Yep. But
so
that's what it is.
Yes.
Because people ask, you hear that all the time. So what is this? What is that? And basically it's like the best color, black.
Oh, here we go. All dogs want to be labs, and all labs want to be black.
No, but black's the dominant.
Yes.
Gene. Yellow's recessive gene.
Yep.
And the chocolate is a mix of those 2.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So both of these dogs, Blue and Dara, both had a yellow recessive gene. And so basically, and that was my hope. Our first litter, we had all blacks. Our second litter, we had half black, half yellow. And then this one, I was just like, you know what? One, with the pedigree of Blue, he is already titled in multiple things, HRC. And then he will be hopefully going to the Grand this year.
Oh, wow.
So this dog is on fire for upland and waterfowl.
That's cool.
And so very excited about this litter that's hitting the ground, or that's on the ground, and we're rocking and rolling.
And Dara's no slouch.
No, she is not. And she's getting retired as a breeding dog. This was her last litter. I stopped breeding dogs after 6 years old. When they're getting to 6 years old, it's going to be their last, and I'm done. Because this is not a puppy mill. We're trying to breed quality dogs here.
I think that's important.
It is, and I hate the puppy mill thing. That's just not okay, because they're just breeding whatever they want to each other, no testing, no nothing.
Not paying attention to anything.
And then that's when you have a dog at 3 years old that can't even get up and go.
Yep.
I mean, or has genetic issues.
Right.
So,
right.
But yeah, so we were talking before the podcast, and there's this one male. It's the first puppy from the litter. He's got a little black collar on, and every time I pick this puppy up, it is so hardcore focus on me, eye contact.
And these dogs are small right now.
Yes, I mean they're little nuggets. A buddy of mine, I sent him a picture, and he goes, I didn't know you were into hounds again. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, those look like a bunch of red bones. And I'm like, no, they're not red bones. But, they're tiny. They're just starting to yip, and their eyes have been open for about a week and a half.
Okay.
But, just the visual, me and you have talked about puppies so much. And when y'all have come to look at puppies in the past, first thing you do is you pick them up and face their face towards you.
Yep.
And the one that is always looking at you, you're like, yeah, if I was looking for one, this is the one I'd keep.
See, and I had Hondo. He was the only black pup in the litter, in his litter, and he was just happened to be male. Mm-hmm. And it was like, yeah, that's the one I want. Yeah. That's fine. And it just so happened that when I scooped him up, man, and I held him, he
exactly what
right
he did
in my eyes, and I went. For me, that's important because it shows a level of, like you said, intensity, but it shows a level of intelligence and connection.
Exactly.
They look at you.
Yeah.
When you get a dog that won't make eye contact at all and won't look at you, I mean, socialization plays a huge role in raising a puppy.
Yes.
But if a dog's predisposed to be a little antisocial, they're probably going to be that way their whole life.
Correct.
There may be lacking some confidence, and these are opinions.
Yes.
But this puppy,
I mean, it doesn't matter who picks them up, because I've tried it with my wife, a couple other people that have put deposits down on puppies have come by, and we're socializing the puppies with all sorts of people. And every single time that dog gets picked up, it's just
he just locks in,
and I'm just like, oh my goodness,
there's some fire there.
There's some fire in there. So it's just exciting, with how I'm trying to do my breeding program. I'm trying to get a high drive with an intelligent dog, which Dara is intelligent.
Yep.
And Blue is intelligent, but he has got a motor on him.
Right.
I mean, so that's what I'm trying to do. And just to see puppies, most of the puppies are giving eye contact. But this black collar one,
He stands out.
it just is like, okay, yeah, uh-huh.
What are, people can be listening to this and they go, maybe they're going to go, whether they come to you for a dog or they go someplace else. Other than, and we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but when you're trying to help somebody decide, what are some of the questions that people should be asking a breeder and that you would help them walk through so they get the right dog for them?
Well, and that's the one of the easiest but hardest things, because in all of our minds we want a world champion dog.
Right.
And so to actually humble ourselves and say, okay, I'm going to hunt this dog 20 times, 15 times in a season, or I'm going to hunt this dog 100 times in a season, or I'm going to take this dog to every field trial or HRC test I can.
Right.
So depending on the client. So I have a client in South Carolina that he wants a male, which is why this black collar one is going into my head. There's 2 males out of the 3 that are standing out to me for him. Now, he's in South Carolina. I'm here. Yes, he has the pick of the male, but in a way I have the pick of the male.
Sure.
Because he has given me insight of what he wants. He wants a field trial, HRC hunt test dog.
He wants a high drive dog that's going to go.
Exactly. So this black collar is like, oh boy, we may have already picked this pup.
You say may because they're not, just because you're seeing these behaviors at this tender age doesn't mean it's necessarily going to translate in the long run.
Correct. And that's one of the biggest things, nobody has picked. I have 4 deposits, 4 puppies are spoken for out of the 7. So I have 2 males and a female available, and none of them have picked. Now, some of them are like, I like this one, I like this one.
Right.
Well, that's great and dandy, but at the end of the day, about 6.5, 7 weeks is when you can start to see
that
what the dog is going to do.
To emerge.
We'll have y'all over and let the kids run and see which ones are high drive chasing. I will make a obstacle course. Basically, I'll have a feather, or not feather, but a wing on end of a fishing pole. And I'll drag that booger all around. And the ones that are going to be on top of that wing, they're going to be the ones that will go to that class of people that want a high drive, go dog.
So you need to be, if you're out there listening to this and you're looking for a puppy, you need to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Honest and I would say, look back at the average of the last 5 seasons. How much did you hunt?
Exactly.
What type of conditions did you encounter? That's going to help. That's going, if you're out there and you're hunting 15, 20 times or more in a season, and we're going to exclude guides and outfitters because those guys are running way more than your average Joe is. But if you're going to hunt 15, 20 times in a season, I feel like that's a pretty good number of hunts.
Great number of hunts.
Your dog is going to get more work.
Yes.
And so a high drive dog might be just perfect.
Yeah,
for that scenario. Or maybe you hunt really difficult conditions and you need a dog with more go.
Yeah.
For someone who hunts 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year, say less than 10, that, for whatever reason it may be, maybe you it's something you like, but it's not something that you're super passionate about, or your schedule dictates the point where you just don't get to hunt as much.
Correct.
Maybe a dog that's not that rocket propelled grenade out there, that dog might be too much, because chances are that dog's going to be in your home. All these dogs are going to be in your home for the most part.
Yep.
I think most people that are out there listening to this are looking for a hunting dog that's a companion.
Correct.
And I don't think there's a lot of people that are looking for a pet/companion that also hunts.
Yeah.
At least that are listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong with that.
No, I agree with that.
For me, if I don't work hondo, even if it's just to chuck it in the park for doing wind sprints, if I don't work him at least every other day, he's a pain in the butt in the house.
Well, I mean, it was last night. So my wife got off work, and we loaded all, we had 8 dogs that we took out to the peaks. And we just let them run. Let them run. Get that go out of them. No different with you with the chuck it. You know, it's part of one conditioning, keeping your dog in health, but also when you don't have the time, you know, get them going.
It's no different than if you're looking at your own life and you have to figure out you want to work in physical fitness into your life. Excuse me. You got to factor in how much time do I have. My days of going to the gym and being at the gym for an hour and a half in the morning or in the evening are over.
Yeah.
I do not have that kind of time to dedicate to that. Well, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. Yeah, but our circumstances are very, very different.
100%.
You know, and so you have to think the same way with the dog.
Yeah.
And being honest with yourself and saying, you know what, I probably fall into that second category of this dog's going to be a companion and a pet more than it's going to hunt.
Yeah. And then
they all do that for the most part.
Correct.
Like I said, unless you're getting into dogs they hunt all the time.
Yep.
But how much dog can you handle?
Exactly. And that is a very important thing. And that's where our pride gets in the way in some aspects. You know, we want that field champion dog. All of us do. But in hindsight, 2020, can you handle that?
Right.
And so big thing is for me is, you know, I would say Jasper is that level. I mean, he's that dog. He would kill himself retrieving if I'd let him. No different with Hondo.
Yep.
And so now with what I'm trying to do with my breeding program, I need that. I mean,
right.
And so does everybody need 14 dogs? No, not everybody needs 14 dogs. And the hard part for me right now was with my schedule, I'm working them every day. In the afternoons when I get off work, it's still dark in the morning before I go to work. But any chance you can to work your dog. And we've talked about this till we're blue in the face.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter what the work you're doing with the dogs. Like, so I posted a video of one of my puppies from the last litter of her retrieving a stuffed animal duck. And that dog, Echo is her name, she is a little firecracker. She got a lot of Butch, the stud, from this past litter. But 15, 20 times I've thrown this little thing. She brings it right back. The one time I take the video, she headbutts me head right into the camera, and then she goes and gets the bumper. Just excitement. Yeah. And, you know, I take her in the house. Then I'm working her place, stay, here, heel. You know, all of that, it all comes together. And it's just doing those things when you have the opportunities. And that's letting the dogs out for a run. Okay, well, here comes a car. Here. Right. I mean, it's so simple, but there's so much more you can do than just go out and work bumpers.
Yep, I agree. I agree. And we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
What are the questions you like to hear coming from a prospective puppy buyer?
So a handful of people have asked, how are they in the home? You know, and Dara is phenomenal in the home. Now, when I was in Oregon, Blue was phenomenal in the home. You know, so the British do have that off switch. Yep. I mean, but it's trained. You have to train it into them.
Right.
You've come to the house, and I got 5 dogs in the house. Yeah, five grown dogs in the house. In obedience, it comes back to that. It comes back to it would be utter chaos if there wasn't obedience.
Most people's homes with 5 dogs in them, it would be chaos.
Yep.
Come to your house, and those dogs, they come over when they're called.
Yep.
And they say hi. Otherwise, they're on place.
Yep.
And they're behaving. And I look at my own home as an example, and we've gotten, I guess you could say, a little more lenient with Hondo since we put Mackinac down.
Yeah.
One reason is that we've instilled all of the behaviors and the training and the obedience. It's all there.
Yeah.
And you're constantly brushing up on it. But when you have those fundamentals and those foundations, I feel like that's when you can really start to enjoy your dog.
Oh, yeah.
Because
exactly.
It's like, yeah, man, we're watching a movie. Come on, buddy.
Yeah.
Up on the couch.
Yep.
Or when folks come over for Thursday night tonight we'll have a small group, church group over at the house, and I won't put him away.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he'll be on his place over in the corner and hanging out, and he likes to bug Tyler.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah.
It's his hunting buddy.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't have to worry about him.
Yeah.
He's just sitting over there hanging out. And then when he starts to get little, he might whine a little bit because that's what Hondo does.
Yep.
I'll let him out.
Yeah.
Put him outside for a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's ready to come in. I might then, if he's kind of judging by how he's feeling, I might go put him in the bedroom and let him chill, you know, or his crate or something. But I don't have to worry about him.
Yeah.
And he's got, like I said, I've backed off a little bit of being so stringent on him. I mean, the same fundamentals are still in place, going through doors, feeding time, all those things that work with steadiness. But I feel like, first of all, he's coming out of it, but he's super lonely without Mackinac around.
Yep.
And so he gravitates to us even more than he ever has, which he's always been very needy. But second of all, it's like, let's enjoy this time together because pretty soon we're going to introduce another puppy to the mix.
Yep.
And it's like I want to enjoy my time one-on-one that I have with Hondo because I've never had that with him.
Yeah.
It was always another dog. And so just those little things, but I think asking a breeder
any question.
Any question that's going to help you pair them with a dog.
Well, I mean, it's, you know, a lot of people ask with gun dogs, have you ever had one that's gun shy?
Right.
I mean, and so one of the things I do personally for every litter, people were laughing at me last night. I was clapping my hands while they were suckling on Dara. And one of them goes, why? And I'm like, I am starting their gun training right now.
Right.
And that is, you know, it could be anything. I mean, pots and pans. If me and Haley had kids, I'd have the kids over there with pots and pans, banging on them, just woohoo, woohoo, bang, bang, bang.
Loud noise is just not a big deal after that. Because any dog can be gun shy.
Correct.
Any dog can be gun shy. It can be, all it takes is a couple of bad experiences, and you've instilled fight or flight behavior into that dog, where now that dog's got to make a decision.
Yep, fight or flight.
Most of the time with most dogs, it's flight.
Yep, exactly. Run. And so, you know, that's one thing, to be a preventative of having one that is more tentative to be gun shy. I start them literally from day one. Now, are their ears open day one? No, they're not. They can't hear the first week. Their ears are closed, haven't completely developed yet. And so, you know, that's a big thing that I try to do. So this year I did a bunch of research. There's probably other breeders out there that have done the same or disagree with what I've done, but I've already started potty training. So I got a mat now.
Interesting.
That has pine pellets, and they are peeing and pooping all over it.
That's good.
And so
they get the idea that they can't just go wherever they want.
Exactly. And so at 3 weeks old, over half of them are already going to the potty in
where
that little
you
spot.
Want them to.
Exactly. So it's a lot less cleanup.
That's helpful.
Extremely helpful. My house doesn't smell like an absolute mess.
Right.
Because the last two litters here at the house, you could walk in the house, you're like, oh, yep. There's a bunch of dogs in here. But now, because of that pine, it literally just holds over. And
That's
so
interesting. Because I was going to ask you about that whelping process, and I think we'll get into that in a minute. But that was one thing where training Mackinac was the pots and pans, it was the loud sounds, and it was gradual introduction to gunfire.
Exactly.
And I did the same thing with Hondo. Obviously, I followed the Cornerstone 52 Plus program with that, and there were steps involved in that. But the point is, it's something you need to be thinking about when you get your dog. You can't just take a dog out and start shooting over them and expect them not to have a reaction to that.
Exactly.
So be thinking about that, whether you're using a program like Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, or you're reading a book, or whatever it might be. Yeah. There's a lot of good resources available out there.
Ton.
That you can do that. I know with Hondo, it was, loud noises, pots and pans, and he was kind of like, okay, whatever.
Yep.
And then the first time it was like live gunfire, there was a bird involved.
Exactly.
Because I wanted him to associate gunfire with a bird.
Yep.
Feathers and blood and all those really cool things that a hunting dog should love.
Yep.
But I didn't stand right over him and shoot either.
No.
I was way over here. Grace would throw the bird, and he'd be with her, and I'd shoot when she threw it. And I was quite a ways away, probably 100 yards.
Yeah.
And I gradually, over the course of probably about a week, I moved in closer and closer and closer and closer.
Exactly.
So by the time I got to him, he didn't care about the gun. He just knew there was a bird to fetch.
Exactly.
And pretty soon, he's associating gunfire with a bird.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah. So that's just one way.
Yeah.
Obviously. But let's talk about whelping, dude. That has got to be an overwhelming process.
Extremely. And so for this past litter, so Dara was on her 65th day. We had planned for a C-section for that day just because you don't want to. So, I mean, from breeding, it's 58 to 64 days is that window of when they're going to give birth. And so at 65, we had planned out the time that we were going to go do a C-section, and the vet let me know, hey, we're going to wait till about 1. And if she hasn't started, nothing going on, and you know Dara, I am her person.
And she does things on her own schedule.
And she does things on her own schedule. And so at like 12:45, she starts going into labor. And I'm just like, well, thank you, Lord. I mean, just one less thing I got to worry about.
Because the C-section would open up, literally, no pun intended, a whole other can of worms.
Correct. The whole feeding process for the puppies changes. Everything changes for a C-section. And so she goes into labor. We have, we had 8 puppies. We lost 1, unfortunately. But
Is that pretty standard?
First litter, normally there'll be 1 or 2 that'll be stillborn just because new dog, new pregnancy.
Sure.
Hasn't ever had puppies before. But then afterwards, and Dara's a great mom. So her second litter, we didn't lose any. We lost 1 on this one. It was premature, which is why she waited to the last day.
Got it.
Of that. So it wasn't completely developed, and it didn't make it. So we had 4 females, or no, it would have been 5 females, 3 males, but we lost 1. And literally the whelping process from day 1, from time of birth, I clean them up, weigh them, and then I get them connected immediately. That is the biggest thing, is to get them feeding. Now, during her pregnancy, she's scooting around, she's all over the place. Right. So it's keeping her away, or keeping the puppies on her, but then getting them away. Now, can a dog do it on their own? All the time, yes. I mean, back in the day when there wasn't anything, wolves, they don't get any help. So, for me, I enjoy it. I mean, I know that probably sounds weird to some people.
No,
but
I don't think so. You're a dog guy. Why wouldn't you enjoy that?
Exactly. Now, is it stressful? Extremely.
I would bet.
Extremely stressful. My wife was laughing at me the whole time. I'm sending her. My wife's a vet tech, so I'm sending her pictures of things and updating her, and she's like, "Okay, you it's okay." But there's a lot into these litters. Right. The testing, me driving to Oregon. It's not just that I have Billy Bob in the backyard and putting 2 dogs together. Right. It's so important. I love it. I mean, so the whelping process, as they have gone week to week, I mean, from them scooting around trying to find mama to where now they are looking around. You walk up to the fence, they're coming up to it.
Right.
So my whelping process, it starts off in a kiddie pool, actually. It's not what you see on TV. Or on the internet of the whelping boxes. Now, those are great and dandy. They're expensive. Right. So I have run with
you have to build something. And
correct.
The kiddie pool seems like a pretty good way to do it.
It does great for about the first week.
Sure.
Week and a half, and then I transition them into another pen that's about a 3-foot-high fence, basically, that Dara can get in and out of, but puppies cannot.
Like a playpen
for kids.
Literally
a playpen for toddlers. But, cleaning them, making sure that they're all up to date on everything. 5 days after they were born, they went and got their dew claws removed, which I know everybody's got their opinion on dew claws.
Right.
I have both. I have dogs that have dew claws and dogs that don't. But, and I think it's 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks, they'll go and get their first rounds of shots. They've already gotten their first round of dewormer. It's the process. And one of the biggest things to do, in my opinion, is keep a schedule weight on these dogs to say, okay, Dara's out of the pen. I'm going to hook the one that isn't getting enough nutrients, get her more.
Got it.
I mean, that is a big thing.
Yeah, you're monitoring.
Exactly. Well, it's paying attention.
Right.
I mean, it's being intentional with what I got.
It's no different than, I think about, I have 3 children.
Yeah.
And when they were little and nursing, there was a schedule.
Yeah.
We had them on a feeding schedule and a sleep schedule. And it was, my wife was tight to it.
Oh, yeah.
And what that did was she's constantly monitoring the kids.
Well,
it's sounds very similar.
Well, it is. And I mean, no different with the kids as in the mother. The mother's got to have more nutrients now.
Right.
I mean, it's now providing so much more. So Dara's on high protein. I mean, she's getting more groceries. She's getting yogurt and cottage cheese once a day. So it's just adding to it because she is producing so much for these puppies. It's the whelping is stressful, but I love it.
It's part of it. If
you
don't like it, you're in the wrong line.
Exactly. Yeah.
That sounds great.
So
we have plans to come over and see them.
Yeah.
I'm not, as you know, I have no interest in this litter. Don't even try a sales pitch on me when I get there.
No.
But we have been talking about a replacement for Mackinac.
Yep.
And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Correct.
Excited about that. It's you have a house full of dogs.
I do.
And I have one right now, and honestly, it feels kind of weird.
Oh yeah. Oh man, it is incredible going from 1, then to 2, and then to 14 in total with the 7 puppies. I mean, so we have 7 full-grown dogs. Well, no, there's
and chickens and horses and a bum calf. And, I mean, your wife is very, very, very much an animal person.
Yes,
and has a huge heart in that regard when it comes to animals.
Yep.
And has to.
It does
to be able to live that lifestyle.
Yep. It is the funny farm. That is for sure. But, it's these dogs are just it is such a reward seeing these dogs and how well they are becoming. I mean, the puppies from the past 2 litters and what they're doing now, that is what excites me, is to see that we're breeding quality dogs.
I love hearing you say that because I feel like not every breeder has that mentality. They're going to breed pups, sell them, and away they go.
Well, and that's, that there's 2 different styles of dog breeders.
Right.
It's to breed them, get the monies out of them, get rid of them. These dogs, they're part of our family.
Right.
And I mean, they're getting the best life they can. And the only reason you breed a dog is to make the breed better. It's not to make money. Now, do we all make money that breed dogs? Yes. But it's to make the breed better.
Right.
So.
And to provide a companion for somebody.
Correct.
That's a huge, huge, huge part of it.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of people tend to forget.
Correct.
Where it's like, and you should, when you're shopping for a breeder, you should be asking those questions.
Yeah.
What are some of the past dogs like?
Yeah.
And if that breeder doesn't know and can't show you, so-and-so's got one of my pups and did this, and this last year.
Exactly.
That's what I'd be looking for in a breeder.
Yeah.
That's what I have looked for in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's important to me, because that shows a level of commitment to what you're doing and a level of care.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not just churning out puppies.
No.
Well, that's interesting. I think the whelping process is one of those things that you probably have to live through it in order to fully understand what goes into it. A lot of folks, we live in a rural community here. It's calving season. Everywhere you go, there's new calves hitting the ground. And while whelping pups is definitely not on that level,
no,
there's still that. It's that time of year right now where it's the season of new birth, man.
Yes, it is.
And it's fun. You know, we love to go out and look at all the new calves hitting the ground. And it's definitely cool. I've done the calving thing a few times, and I'm good. That's not me.
I've done it too.
That's
and
not me.
And
About
I'm
the third
good.
time I pulled a calf, I was like, I'm good. I'm good. And so my hat's off to you livestock producers out there that are making sure the country stays fed. 'Cause that's not a job I would care to do.
No.
It's definitely cool to see, but same thing with dog guys. You know, guys that are like you that are dedicated and into it and dedicated to making the breed better and producing the best pups they can make. Man, my hat's off to you because it's a lot of late nights and early mornings and sleepless nights.
Oh boy, yeah. This past litter there was quite a few sleepless nights, but you know that's just part of it.
Right.
And each litter's different. You know, her first 2 litters was a cakewalk, and this last one, just because she was getting closer and closer to the time of when we were going to do a C-section, I didn't sleep 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, and the little bit of sleep I got was on the wooden floor with her. Just, all right, darling. Every time she moved, I moved. I mean, it's no different than a child, a newborn baby. The thing makes a squeak, and everybody's up, rocking and rolling. I mean, it's just, you know, there's so
Maybe
much.
the first one. By the time you get to the third, you're like, back to sleep.
Okay, Mr. Todd.
No, I'm not kidding you, man. It's funny. It was. I think we were reminiscing the other day about kids and having kids, and I'm not a baby guy. I'm not a baby person. It's kind of like, yeah, it's a baby. You know, they're like bears. They're cute from a distance. You know, but it's like even my own kids. I loved them.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, come and find me when you're about 8. We can go do something cool.
Put you to work.
Yeah, you know, now just go do fun stuff. But I mean, I'm obviously joking, but I remember with JC, our youngest, it was a little bit of that where she'd stir and she slept through the night almost immediately. Yeah. And my middle was a little bit more that way, and my son Jed, my youngest, he was more the one to wake up in the night, not go back to sleep unless you helped him.
Yeah.
You know, and so a little bit more there, but definitely it's kind of like by the time you get to the third, it's like, all right, I've done this twice already. I know. Yeah. I know what to expect. And then, yeah, we're going to do this. We're not going to establish bad habits. And, you know, anyway, that's a whole other ball of wax. But let's do a 180 and talk turkeys.
All right.
What are your turkey plans this year?
You know, with them changing the season, I was going to put in for yellowtail.
Like we always do.
And with their new change up of drawing once a week, I'm going to try that this year. We'll see what happens.
Yep. I don't think you'll be alone.
No, there'll be.
My hat will be in that ring for sure.
You know, the turkeys out here, I mean, there's plenty of places that you can go and find a turkey. And so, you know, I have not personally killed a Miriam or a Rio in Wyoming. I've taken quite a few people and called birds in for people. And so would I love to kill one? Yeah.
Oh, we might be able to make that happen.
But I love just calling in a bird.
Yep.
It is one of my passions. I'm no different than you. I like chasing things with feathers, and turkeys are on my high list. Back home when I was working at the plantation at Gregory Neck, that was one of my things I did every spring, and we would turkey hunt the pudding out of birds. I just love it. So
it's fun. It's one of those things. It's like you're starting to see more and more of it this time of year popping up in social feeds and on YouTube. And
getting ready.
I'll watch a little bit of it, but man, turkey hunting for me is one of those things. It's like hockey.
Say that one more time.
It's like hockey.
Hockey.
It's like hockey.
There's the pole coming out.
It's like hockey. Where and hockey. I'm going to get lambasted by the hockey fans for this, but it's like I don't really care about watching it all that much.
I just want to do it.
I want to be there.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I and my hockey playing days are over. Not that I was ever very good at it, but to go to an arena and watch it live, it's like baseball's the same way. Not a big baseball fan to watch on TV.
Yep.
I will, and I enjoy it, but it's way more fun to be at the park, man.
Oh, man.
Way more fun. I feel like turkey hunting's that same way.
I agree with that.
It's kind of like, it's okay to watch. It's fun. But I'd much rather just go do it.
Correct. I'm right there with you. It's just getting the experience every single time you go out, because it's no different than waterfowl, big game hunting. There's always something different. There's never one hunt that's the exact same.
Right.
I mean, I've never experienced an exact same duplicate of a hunt.
Yep.
And turkeys, they can be stubborn. They can be tricky.
I like what the states have done across the country by pushing season dates back, because I feel like you get those birds are a lot. When you push the seasons back into late April and run them into May,
Yep.
those birds are a lot harder to kill.
Correct.
A lot harder to kill.
Not just anybody can kill them.
Right. It takes work, it takes planning, it takes scouting, and it takes the right techniques.
Correct.
Whereas early in the season, and we do have some management hunts here in Wyoming that are held around more populated areas where the turkey numbers have exploded.
Yes.
And so they'll open those on that management season. You could shoot 2 birds, I think, and it's an April 1st opener.
Yep.
So you can hunt those birds when they're flocked up and establishing the pecking order still.
Yep.
And they're very aggressive.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, this was easy. And that's what we ran into last year in Montana. We ran into birds that were still, it was mid-April, but they were still in like early season mode.
Yep.
Big flocks roosted together and extremely aggressive and good gobblers, where you throw out a Jake decoy or a strutter decoy and you're going to have a bird on it very quickly with minimal calling. And it's fun, but it's almost too easy when it's like that.
Yeah.
The birds are they're very susceptible to decoys at that time.
Yeah.
And so what states have done is they've taken that knowledge and they've pushed those season dates later to where all that pre-rut behavior is over. You'll still get birds that are aggressive and will come to a strutter decoy, especially those eastern birds.
Oh, man.
Out here, our Merriam's birds are by the middle to the end of April, they're usually just looking for love.
Yep.
And if you throw out a strutter decoy, in my experience, especially on public ground, 9 times out of 10, that bird's going to pop up, look at that strutter decoy, and go, nope, I don't think so.
Yep.
I don't want to fight.
Nope. And another thing with that, and this is just for anybody here in Wyoming, because we can shoot turkeys with rifles, unless they've changed that this year.
No, not that I know of.
Be cautious on public. Having a full strutter or turkey fan.
I don't hunt with a strutter decoy on public.
Correct.
Unless I'm hunting a situation where I know I'm
the only person.
Probably going to be the only person out there. Because it can be dangerous.
Yes, it can be.
It can be dangerous. And so, we could, good grief, man, we could get into, don't do this, do this. And it seems like there's all these stupid rules that people come up with. And I'm not talking state game agencies. I'm just like, you shot that bird with TSS, that's cheating.
Yeah.
Or you reaped that bird, that's not ethical. Or you hunted them on the roost, man. No, don't do that. It's like, man, just go have fun.
Exactly.
And as long as you're hunting within the legal means of take, go have fun and enjoy your spring. When in the world did we get to the point where you got to cut somebody down because they shot a bird a certain way?
Correct.
Now, if it's illegal or definitely morally questionable,
cut them down.
Well, call them on it.
Yeah.
But this stuff where you did this and you did that, and man, it's like, come on, we're our own worst enemies. Turkey season's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Hunting's supposed to be fun.
Yep.
Let's have fun with it. Go make some memories and have a good time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's interesting. The turkey thing is interesting because I feel like waterfowl has it too, but I think back, last year was the first time that I'd hunted turkeys on private ground in a really long time.
Gotcha.
And we filmed 5 turkey hunts in a row for Wingmen, maybe 6 that were all on public.
Yeah.
And out of all those hunts, we had one where we got a bird to commit fully to the decoys.
Yeah.
Came in, strutted, and I was so used to taking the first opportunity I had, I didn't let him put on a show.
Gotcha.
I killed him very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Where in hindsight, I probably should have let him beat on the decoy and do what he was going to do for for video's sake.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I've learned. But all the rest of the birds that we've called in and shot on public ground were not going to come to a decoy.
Correct.
Or got into 40 yards and it was like, see ya. So you shoot them.
Yeah. And that's the hard thing about public for waterfowl, anything.
Yes. You kind of got to take the opportunities that are presented to you.
Exactly.
And if the bird's not 10 yards strutting in your face, who cares?
Exactly.
If that's really important to you, then be patient and wait.
Yep.
But be prepared to eat your tag at the end of the season too, which sounds silly to a lot of turkey guys.
Yep.
Because a lot of guys are going to be like, what do you mean you can't finish turkeys? Well, you start hunting turkeys, I don't care where they are, on public ground, whether it's out west, in the Midwest, down south, I don't care where it is, they get smart fast.
They get educated the first time you make a bad call.
Yep.
On just you're doing your yelp, and then all of a sudden it's a put, and you do a put, boom, that bird's going.
Yep. And so I just feel like have the right expectations where, if you're hunting heavily hunted public ground anywhere in the country, and you get a bird to come to you, and he closes that. I mean, obviously with TSS now, you can shoot birds a lot farther than you used to be able to. But my rule of thumb is like 40.
Yeah.
That 40-yard window, I've done my job.
Yep.
I've gotten that bird to do what I need him to do, and I kill him. Private ground, like we're going to go back to the same place. Well, we're not hunting the exact same place in Montana this year. We're going to hunt a new piece. My expectations for that hunt, obviously you go in with set expectation, but you need to be ready to pivot.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to go a little later, so I don't think we're probably going to see that extensive dominance behavior that we saw last year. We're probably going to have to work for these birds a little bit more.
Yep.
But I'm going to be like
a little bit pickier
because like last year we set up a blind and it was just like you just put the decoys out and call a little bit and wait, and there were birds just mobbing those decoys.
Yeah.
You wait till you see the footage. It's the most epic turkey footage I've ever filmed. It was incredible. It's exactly what everybody wants in their mind's eye, but it's really hard to come by.
Oh, yeah.
And especially when you're hunting public ground.
Yes.
Especially when you're hunting public ground. And it's taking, turkey behavior into everything, timing of the seasons now. But when I get back from Montana, which that hunt will be the last, I think it's right after Easter we're going.
Okay.
Our turkey season here in Wyoming will be open.
Yep.
And so I think you and I need to be working together and be like, hey, I got permission for, yellowtail.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And I would really love to put together a public land Wyoming turkey hunt as well with the two of us doing it.
That'd be awesome.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah, coming into a great time of year for sure. Waterfowl season, duck depression I'm over it. It's one of those deals where it was duck season. It was what it was. We had a good season. It wasn't a great season for sure. Now there's dog work to focus on, and turkey's right around the corner.
I mean, duck season comes in 6 months.
I know, and I'm excited for it.
I'm already counting down.
Well, and one of the things that I want to do more of next year is I want to hunt some of that early stuff next year. And obviously doing what I do for Eastmans, it depends on big game draws.
Correct.
If I have a pocket full of big game tags, I'm not going to duck hunt in October.
Well, it goes back to, we've talked about this on previous podcasts, for me, last year I drew.
Yep.
I drew everything that I put in for except for one tag.
Yep.
And this year, I'm not putting in. I'm going to be that guy, and I'm not going to put in. My wife's going to put in for tags, but I'm going to focus on birds. It's just what I've decided.
Sure.
Now I'll do my antelope just because it's a day hunt.
Right.
I mean, it's not like I got to spend the night.
Right.
But other than that, I'm focusing mainly on birds for the dogs.
Well, then I'll be getting a hold of you and being like, hey, I want to go in the morning. Let's go.
No, exactly.
One of those deals. But it's an interesting. Spring's a great time of year. There's so much stuff to do. I would just encourage everybody listen to this. Get out and do something. Whether you're going fishing, whether you're running trap lines still this time of year, or you're hunting coyotes, or you're training dogs, or whatever it might be, get outside. It's been a long winter
it has.
In much of the country. And, I took the kids and Hondo and the wife for a walk the other day, and we just enjoyed being out. Being out in God's creation. Absolutely. I mean, and there's so much peace in that. Yep.
Yesterday when me and my wife went out for our little hike with the dogs. Just it sets you back a little bit and just like, okay. It takes you out of fifth gear and brings you back down to reality.
Yep. Which we all need.
Yes, we do.
Well, brother, appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for being on. It was a good podcast. Guys, thank you for listening to this episode of the Wingmen podcast. Make sure you're checking out all of our partner and sponsor gear. I know we talked about Weatherby and Federal in particular, but, all the partners that we have, whether it be, Weatherby, Federal Premium, High Mountain Seasonings, Cryptek, Leupold Optics, they all make awesome products. And if you guys are in the market for any of that stuff, please give them a hard look. They help us do what we love to do, and we appreciate them. And honestly, I am ecstatic to have the partners that I have because I truly believe in all of the products that they produce. And I have no qualms recommending them at all. So thanks again. Check us out on all of our social media feeds, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube as well. The Mackinac tribute video drops on, depending on when you're listening to this, it's probably going to be live because this episode's probably not going to air right away. It's going to be on the YouTube channel. Check it out. It's a really great video dedicated to a really great dog. So thanks for joining us. And until next time, guys, we'll see you in the field.